GBHS Math Shorts are 5 to 10 minute videos designed to provide instruction or review of specific concepts utilized in math courses at Granite Bay High School. We hope you find them useful and helpful. This math short is factoring step number 2, factoring a difference of the squares. Here are the factoring steps that we look at in our courses. You can see these all at different math shorts. This is step number 2, looking for a difference of perfect squares at DPS. Remember, a difference of perfect squares will always give you a sum and a difference in the binomial factors. Factoring step number 2, a difference of 2 squares. The 3 characteristics you're looking for in order to identify a difference of 2 squares is that it has to be first a binomial, that means 2 terms. Terms are separated by plus or minus. So we're looking for 2 terms. The separator has to be a minus, it has to be a subtraction, that's why it's a difference of 2 squares. And the 2 terms must be perfect squares. In other words, you have to be able to write each term as one quantity squared. In this particular generic form, a squared minus b squared, you see that you have 2 terms. The first term, a squared. The second term, b squared. We're separated by a minus, so we have a difference. And both of these terms are perfect squares. The factorization of a squared minus b squared will be a sum and a difference of the things that are being squared. That would be a plus b and a minus b. That's your generic factorization of a difference of 2 squares. You're trying to identify 2 things being squared, a first and a second, separated by a minus, a difference of 2 squares. You will always factor 2 binomials in a product. Remember, factoring is changing a plus-minus problem into a multiplication problem. The first thing being squared will go in both first spots in the binomials. The second thing being squared will go in the 2 second spots in the binomials. And one binomial will have a plus, one will have a minus, a sum and a difference. It doesn't matter what the things are. It could be something as generic as a triangle squared minus a rectangle squared. If you have triangle squared minus rectangle squared, you're going to get a triangle plus the rectangle, triangle minus your rectangle. So it's what's being squared is what you're going to add and subtract in the 2 binomials. And again, one of the most wonderful things about factoring is you can always verify, hey, did I factor this correctly, by checking, by foiling, the monkey method, whatever it is you've been taught to multiply binomials or polynomials. In this case, we would do triangle times triangle, and you would get triangle squared, what you started with. Rectangle, positive rectangle times negative rectangle will be minus rectangle squared. And then a plus rectangle times triangle and a minus rectangle times triangle will cancel out, leaving us with what we started, the difference of 2 squares, triangle squared minus rectangle squared. Now, x squared minus 25. 2 terms, binomial, separated by a minus, and both terms can be written as something squared. If it helps to rewrite so that you can see the 2 squares, that's perfectly fine. Then we factor to the sum and the difference. X plus 5 times x minus 5. It's the first thing squared plus the second thing. First thing minus the second thing. Here's one where we've already rewritten it for you. 16m squared minus 81. Remember, the first thing that's being squared is 4m. The second thing is 9. So first plus second, first minus second. 4m plus 9 times 4m minus 9. Now don't forget, we always can multiply 4m times 4m and get 16m squared. 9 times negative 9 is minus 81. 9 times 4m is plus 36m, and 4m times a negative 9 is minus 36m. Notice these two terms cancel, leaving us with what we started. It's an instant check. It should only take you a few seconds to do that check. 4m squared minus 49n squared. Again, rewrite it. 2 squares, if it's helpful for you to see this. It's not necessary for you to rewrite it. It's only if you need to see the two things being squared. And then factor it. First plus second, first minus second. 2m plus 7n times 2m minus 7n. Don't forget, before you start doing a difference of the squares, you should be going to step number 1, checking to see if there is a greatest common factor. 9m squared minus 36. If you rewrite this as 3m squared minus 6 squared, when you factor this, you're going to get 3m plus 6 and 3m minus 6. The factorization you've done is correct. However, you have to remember, remove this, you have to remember that 9m squared minus 36, if you do step 1 first, has a common factor of 9. If you pull the common factor out of 9m squared minus 36, you're left with m squared minus 4. You can see that this binomial, m squared minus 4, is a difference of 2 squares, m being squared and 4, 2 squared. So the complete factorization is going to be m plus 2 and m minus 2 would be the factorization of your difference of 2 squares, and your common factor of 9 would be included in front. That is the correct factorization. You always have to check for something in common first.